Hi, and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Dan,
Chris.
Lee.
Suppose we better start with the news. We haven't got a race to look back at this week, have we?
No, not this week. We'll race to look forward to, but we'll get to that later.
There is a race to look forward to, and I'm really looking forward to it because
it's Austin.
Yeah.
One of the best circuits on the calendar.
Yeah.
One of the best races usually on the
Definitely the
calendar.
best new circuit. The one time Herman Tilke got it right.
Changed
By
wrestling
copying
in the
everyone
90s.
else.
Moment's silence for that joke, which is what it deserves.
People out there are laughing. Don't have to laugh in here. People out there are laughing.
At or with? That is the question.
It doesn't
They're
matter.
not listening to this podcast.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
We'll start on some news that actually happened on a Monday.
Last Monday.
No, today.
This Monday.
Today.
Wow.
Actually, in the preceding 12 hours before we started recording.
Motherfucker.
Stoffel Van Dorn is going to Formula E.
He is.
Yeah, joining the Mercedes-backed HWA team alongside new DTM champion Gary Paffett.
Are they a new entry? In
Yes.
Formula E, right.
Yeah, you know how when Nico Rosberg tested the Gen 2 car, did that demonstration run, it was in Mercedes colours.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Because HWA, I think, were part of the Mercedes organisation that was running their DTM entry.
Right, okay.
And now, of course, Mercedes aren't in DTM anymore.
So they've just shifted, that team shifted over to...
To Formula E from
Formula
DTM.
E.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've signed Stoffel pretty quick. Chris, you mentioned before Toto said he'd find Stoffel a seat.
When McLaren were umming and ahhing over
remember
what to
this.
do with Jenson Button, Fernando Alonso, and Stoffel Van Dorn, I think it was Sky were talking to Toto Wolff on in the pit lane before a race, and he said, "Well, he seems to show a lot of potential. If McLaren can't find him a seat, I'm sure we can."
Mm-hmm.
And very, very quickly, like the next week or 2 weeks after that, it was Van Dorn will drive for McLaren next year. And of course, he's had his 2 years in Formula One. I read out a tweet, didn't I,
I
before
wonder if
about
McLaren regret that.
what putting him in
Instead of keeping Alonso Button.
I don't know.
Wasn't there something to do with his contract where if they didn't actually give him a race seat, he was going to be a free agent
What's
anyway?
the point now, though? Yeah,
True.
do you know what I mean? In hindsight,
as
I
it
wonder...
turns out, it didn't work.
Yeah, because you've got to think that Button would have been closer to Alonso for the last 2 years than Stoffel has
Would
been.
he have stuck it out for these last 2 years, though?
I don't know.
Would Jensen have done Alonso by? Well, I've not got a decent car. Sod this for a lark.
I think he'd have probably stayed for that last year at Honda, and then he probably would have been interested in this year because of the idea of like Renault engines instead of Honda engines.
It's just sitting this year out with a crap car, even though it's got a decent engine in it.
Yeah.
I don't think he was entirely forced out. I think he'd had enough.
It was only with the interview with Lewis Hamilton. Remember he interviewed Hamilton,
Yeah.
didn't he, in the car? And when Hamilton said about quitting, Button said, "Look, when you think you want to quit, give it one more year because you probably don't want to quit." And that it made me think that he's regretted leaving when he might have had the opportunity to stay. Well, we know he had the opportunity to stay in Williams, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think Stoffel and anyone who has been Fernando Alonso's teammate over the years has had it tough. Some have come out looking better than others, but yeah, I get the feeling Stoffel probably needs another crack at Formula One. Whether or not he'll ever get it is debatable. But the 2 years at McLaren and not really much. Not much success for the team.
did he ever outqualify? Oh, sorry, has he ever outqualified Alonso
Yes, last year.
Last year he was
without problems, just on
Yeah, I
pure
think so, yeah.
pace?
Yeah.
last year he was relatively good against Alonso. Maybe not 50-50, but
Yeah.
This year he's
It's
not
just gone.
not qualified ahead
This
of
year,
him.
Alonso's outqualified him at every race.
Yeah.
But I mean, of course, this makes the HWA team ex-McLaren.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Gary Paffett and Stoffel Van Dorn, both ex-McLaren drivers, if you will. Gary Paffett never raced for McLaren, but was their development
Test and
driver
reserve
or test and reserve for about 8 years. So
Still doing the young driver test for him into his 30s.
yeah, when Mercedes and McLaren split, Gary Paffett was with Mercedes, so he went off and did Mercedes things. again, which took him away from Formula One actually. So it's interesting to see that.
Well, he has been involved with Williams for the last couple of years. He's been the simulator driver.
Yeah, but it stopped him from potentially having a seat, which looked like he might do year after year at McLaren, and then never got one.
So I think from this we can take the fact that we'll be seeing Nick De Vries in Formula E in about 5 years' time.
Maybe. But I think Nick De Vries will probably end up with the reserve McLaren seat for next year. But the most interesting thing is that Formula E is spec series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know how we were talking a few weeks ago about how well Stoffel Van Dorn did in all the spec series leading up to Formula One. Now, okay, he might not have had like the strongest pool of drivers in GP2 when he like ripped that a new one, but he certainly seems to do really well in spec series. So now we're going to find out how good Stoffel. This is the positive spin on it. Now we're going to find out how good Stoffel Van Dorn is up against some really talented drivers like Felipe Massa, Jean-Eric Verne, Gary Pafford.
I'll throw Sam Bird into that
Yeah,
list.
Sam Bird as well, actually. Yeah, that's a good point. And there are...
Alex Lynn's in there as well, isn't he?
Yeah, there's a good
driver.
pool of talent in Formula E that should either should have done better in Formula One or should have just made it to Formula One.
Yeah.
So we'll see where Stoffel sits.
It is the Neely series, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll see where Stoffel sits. At the moment, it is.
I think it's gained more credibility with Massa joining for driver quality.
And we'll see where he sits.
You can't really call him a
alongside
Nearly
Gary
man.
Paffett.
He was
No, I'm not that he was a Neely man, but it's. Like I said, as far as
he's a nearly man.
yeah,
he was nearly world champion.
But he's he kind of was world champion for
Well,
those
no, he wasn't.
few minutes.
He was not world champion because the race hadn't been
No, he
classified.
wasn't.
About 30 seconds.
He
Yeah.
won 11 races in his career. 6 of them came in that season, and he
Yeah.
never won another one after that.
There was shenanigans, though, to put it nicely.
I shrug.
He should have done. There wouldn't have been shenanigans.
You shrug slower than Alonso does.
But like I said, what for Formula E, what would do a massive, what would give it a massive boost is if there was like an Alonso or
I thought what gave it a massive boost was
Vettel.
everyone tweeting and saying, who's the favourite driver?
is that still a thing?
Yes.
Do they still do that?
Yeah.
But like somebody to jump. I mean, the Toyota are apparently in talks with Alonso to extend his WEC contract. I don't know if you read that.
Which would mean he's not going to end up in IndyCar with a Honda behind him for a few more years.
It seems like a strange, unless he himself hasn't mentioned the old Triple Crown for a while now, has he? So I wonder if the idea of doing a whole season of Indy isn't.
Maybe he enjoys WEC.
Maybe he does enjoy WEC. But there's got to be a point when you hit a certain age. Like, obviously, Alonso's a very brave man, but when you see the crashes that happen in IndyCar, there must be that thing in the back. I remember Jenson Button and Daniel Ricciardo both said they wouldn't drive in IndyCar because it's too dangerous.
Yeah. That was around the same time Alonso was doing the Indy, wasn't it? When he announced that he was doing the Indy.
Yeah. I don't know how we managed to get this one onto Alonso like we always seem to.
Well, it's McLaren drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gary Paffett and Stoffel Van Dorn, ex-McLaren drivers, going to be driving for Mercedes HWA Formula E team. But that for me, the positive spin and the important thing to look out for this is how well not Stoffel Van Dorn does against the rest of the Formula E field, but how he does against Gary Paffett. Gary Paffett's now a 2-time DTM champion.
Yeah, about 13 years apart.
Yeah. As Lee pointed out before, Jeepers Creepers. Yeah. Gary Paffett. It was also quite hilarious opening my Instagram feed to see Mercedes congratulating Gary, because you don't often see the name Gary in big letters.
No.
So, that looks really weird.
It's not a massively successful name, is there? Gary Lineker. Name another successful Gary.
Newman?
Newman Neville.
Yeah.
Gary Neville, yeah.
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 Gary Newman's not his real name though, is it? Isn't that a stage name?
It's Gary something though,
Is
isn't
it Gary something?
Yeah, I thought his real first name was Gary.
Yeah. I don't know. I know his surname's not Newman, is it?
Gary Glitter.
That's not his real name, is it?
No.
Right.
No, he comes from a long line of glitters from the Surrey area. We'll move on. Another name that doesn't crop up in Formula One all that much is George.
No.
It does now.
It will now.
It will now. Although Will Buxton tweeted that George Russell joining Williams makes him the first Formula One George since 1963, and then various people sent in a list of about 4 other Georges that have raced in F1 since then.
Oops.
Yes.
Or Jorges, because that's also George.
No, but these were Georges.
Actual Georges.
Actual Georges with a G.
Is that like good old Juan Montoya?
Yeah. Juan Paul Montoya.
I did used to share a house with somebody that thought it was Juan Pablo Montoya.
That's quite good.
She was very Manx.
I used to work with somebody that was called Juan that hated me calling him Juan.
I also used to work with somebody that was called Juan until he moved over here.
For the people who are listening who don't live on the Isle of Man, which I think is
Practically
most of
everybody.
you, Juan is a common name over here. It's spelt Juan.
Yeah. It comes from, I'm not going to. If you want to know where it comes from, tweet me.
Google it.
No, tweet me at Flood21 and I'll tell you
We'll
where it
give you
comes
some
from.
Manx history, fella.
Yeah, I will.
Just one aside from that, you know, for the US Grand Prix for the last couple of years, we've had voiceover man
Yeah.
doing our intros.
Yeah.
When we used to do 3 Legs Fourth Down, one of the team on that was called Ewan, and he was the one that found voiceover man and actually booked him to record intros for that, without telling him how to pronounce his name.
Oh, shit.
He was Juan.
He was Juan,
Yeah.
Whoops.
which he then signed off on. Without actually listening to it.
Oops.
I think VoiceOver Man actually does a voiceover on one of the video game podcasts I listen to.
Wouldn't surprise me. So should we drag voiceover man back for next week?
Why not?
It's
next
the
week.
US Grand Prix.
Why
We're
not?
not going to get Michael Buffer.
No.
Well, we can't afford
It's
Michael
quite
Buffer.
pricey, isn't it?
Hang on, I'm squinting my eyes while thinking we might be able to get Michael Buffer. There must be enough stock Michael Buffer audio footage, or audio.
For one of our creative listeners to make us a jingle out of it.
Yeah.
The only
The 3 legs, 4 wheels.
the only problem with that is he likes suing people for using his voice without licensing.
Does he?
Yes.
Right. Can people do that?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he's actually copyrighted and trademarked his voice.
He's got
Anyway,
to find
to
us
be
first.
fair, it is kind of like his gig, isn't it? His voice.
yeah, if you're stealing his voice, you're stealing his money.
Yeah.
Should we go back to George Russell?
Yes, let's.
The podcast
The man that you cannot trust.
the podcast
No.
driver-in-law.
Yes, podcast driver-in-law.
It just goes to show that appearing on 3 legs, 4 wheels gets you an F1
It
seat.
does, doesn't
Lando
it?
Norris,
Yeah.
George Russell.
Dave Daddario.
We're still
Dave
holding out for
Daddario.
Dave Daddario to get that second Red Bull seat. Toro Rosso,
He
sorry.
didn't meet us in person, though. I think that might be the.
He offered
the
when you
thing.
were in Florida.
He did off well. Yeah, I was on a family fucking holiday.
So?
Well, we were going to go to the Miami Grand Prix, but that's not happening now.
But one day we will get him a seat in F1. But no, congratulations to George Russell for actually making the step up and joining Williams, which by all accounts is going to be a better car next year.
Yeah, because they said
It can't be any worse.
Unless they make it out of chocolate.
And set it next to a fire.
I'm not. I wouldn't bet against that being a thing that happened. I mean, it's unlikely. You get long odds on it, but I'd still think I'll keep that driver.
Yeah, but I mean, it does mean from going from one British driver on the grid, from a British perspective, one British driver on the grid who's most likely to win the World Championship this year,
Yeah, two.
to 3.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, 2 extra.
3
but
British,
yeah.
2 extras, 3. Lando and George will be joining Lewis on the grid next year as a British contingent. Both driving for British teams, which of course Lewis drives for the Germans.
Yeah.
That's always worth pointing out.
The Germans based in Oxfordshire.
Well,
Well, yeah.
the English Germans. Yeah.
It was the shortest journey to Germany we ever had.
We managed to get a taxi.
We did.
Willkommen auf Brackley.
But on a serious point, just going back to February, we'd like to thank Mercedes for setting us up with that interview with
Yeah, it
George
was ace.
Russell, and hopefully he'll be on the show again soon.
Hope so. It'd be nice.
Yeah, it would be. But obviously, his stock has risen somewhat since
Yeah.
we interviewed him
His
way back
diary
in.
might be fat now as well.
Yeah, same with Lando. Anyway, George going to Williams. We think that's taking Lance Stroll's seat.
Yeah, I mean,
before they confirm him at Force India, Racing Point, whatever they're called next week.
whatever they're going to be called next season. I'm still going for Teamy Hilfiger.
So we think that Stroll seat. Do we reckon Sirotkin's in for the next, or has he not proven his worth?
No, that's
He's
going to be
out?
that's going to be a new Williams team next year.
Markelov.
Well, I
Ocon.
don't know because
Ocon.
Markelov's dad has recently been arrested for some serious fraud against the Russian government, and that will affect his backing. Now, he was meant to have almost Stroll.
It'll probably affect his heartbeat as well.
Good chance. He was meant to have
Blood pressure.
almost Stroll levels of cash behind him, and they might not be happening now. So it could be that Sirotkin gets to keep the seat based on the amount of money that he brings in from SMP racing.
It depends, doesn't it? Because, I mean, Mercedes, they've obviously got some sort of deal going with Mercedes and engines for George.
Yeah.
Now,
Although George Russell did say that he organised the deal himself by emailing Paddy Lowe.
Yeah.
Because they worked together briefly.
there's always a lovely little story that goes along with these deals, isn't there? Where it's all, we just had a coffee and decided we'd drive for each other.
We thought we'd give it a go.
Yeah, you didn't. It's Lewis Hamilton and it's fucking Mercedes. There's obviously some sort of hell, because the thing is, a driver wouldn't want to turn around and say, Mercedes are giving them half price engines, because that immediately looks like you're a pay driver. Do you know what I mean? George wants to look like he's got that on merit.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He has
He
got it
has,
on
yeah.
merit.
Yeah, he's leading the F2 championship. He's probably going to win it.
He's not going to have a seat in F2 next year because he's not going to be allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't, that we know that's fine. But to a large portion of the Formula One community that don't watch GP2, and they find out, that lad's got his seat because Mercedes given them engines, you immediately turn into a Stroll, don't you?
Unless,
situation.
of course, as you were saying just then, Esteban Ocon gets the other seat, and then that's two Mercedes young drivers in the Williams, and
That's not going to look good for Williams having two Mercedes-owned drivers in their car.
I don't think, why?
Well, Williams have said they don't want to go down that route. They've been the ones complaining about feeder teams and satellite teams and
I don't think
technical
I think your mind will be changed.
That's
quite
been,
quickly.
That's been the Williams public statements.
Yeah, because don't forget, you've got to go back to. I'm trying to think. Would it be Hill Coulthard for arguably a stronger lineup? Is that for Williams? That has been I'm putting a bit of stock in George here
Hill Villeneuve.
because of how. Yeah, sorry, Hill Villeneuve. Yeah, but
Frentzen Villeneuve.
No,
Frentzen on his day, but for a full season, Hill Villeneuve.
Frentzen only in a Jordan. He came together in Jordan. He was fucking rubbish at Williams.
He was good in a Sauber, which is what got him the Williams drive, and then just lost it.
Just went as soon as he had the chance to win, essentially.
Yeah.
Maybe. But, that would be... If you can go from having Stroll and Sirotkin to Ocon and George Russell, that's a pretty big... You can't blame your drivers anymore at that point.
Yeah.
I think that might be... It might be what Williams need, even if it's just the beginning of them trying to get themselves together. Just that whole thing of actually having real racing drivers, racing for them, might be enough to pick the chins up of the team.
Who was Montoya's teammate at Williams?
Ralph Schumacher.
That's not a bad
That's
lineup.
not a bad team.
Montoya, Ralph Schumacher,
Yeah,
Rosberg Weber.
Rosberg Weber.
Rosberg Webber's not
not
a
bad.
bad team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had
That must be it. That would be it then, wouldn't it? Rosberg Webber would be the last good team.
last strong Williams lineup.
Yeah.
Hulkenberg,
Bottas, Massa, if Massa was good Massa, not bad Massa.
Hulkenberg, Barrichello.
Barrichello on the way out.
Yeah,
that was the
that's what I
thing.
was gonna say.
It wasn't the good Barrichello that we'd seen
Yeah.
before.
Hulkenberg on the way in as well. He wasn't.
Yeah, he's pretty green.
He got pole.
I mean, Hulkenberg is still the last Williams.
accident.
He's still the last Williams driver to get pulled without shenanigans.
Who?
Hulkenberg.
He didn't. That was shenanigans. He had the right tyre on. Nobody else did.
No, he had the same tyre on as everyone else. It was a case of last man across the line.
Oh, yeah.
Right
But
place,
it
right
was
time.
shenanigans.
That's shenanigans.
Yes,
Yeah.
but he was the last Williams driver to get pulled without somebody ahead of him being penalised and dropped back down the grid.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that Williams drivers got pole since then, have they? Because you're then into the Barrichello Senna era,
Yeah.
which was rubbish Williams, and they've been rubbish ever since.
Yeah.
Pastor Maldonado got pole, did he?
Yeah, he got a pole because I think it was possibly either Lewis or Vettel that got a penalty in front of him.
In Spain.
Remember.
Yeah,
Did they not get 1 or 2 poles in that year where they were good? 2014,
Bottas Masters not a bad lineup. You know, like as far as
I think
so
Bottas was
actually-
going to get pole in Russia and threw it away in the last corner.
Yeah. But be a big year for George Russell, this, especially if Ocon isn't in Formula One at all, because I think Bottas. I always get it fucked because I always go to say Kimi, then I go to say Hakkinen, and then even Kovalainen pops in my head sometimes.
No, Valtteri Bottas.
that's your one thin blind spot.
Yeah, he's walking a tightrope of a piece of fucking catgut on Formula One, I think. You know, as far as with Mercedes goes.
I think he's doing a very good job. I think he's doing the job the team want him to do at the moment.
Yeah, but
which might not be, if he needs to step up at any point, might not be the job he can do.
I think
Next year he needs to come second.
Yeah, he's okay with the job he's been doing because Ferrari have fucked it.
Yeah.
If Ferrari weren't there and where they were at the races like Mercedes have been every weekend, Mercedes wouldn't be winning the Constructors' Championship and they'd have a lot more trouble on their hands with the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Bottas needs to be taking more points
Yeah.
out of Vettel next year.
But I can see a window opening for George Russell. Of whoever his teammate is, if he can put them away like next year,
Yeah.
comfortably away, especially if it's Ocon, Christ.
Imagine
Or
that.
he could end up being Stoffled.
Oh, it could end up being Stoffel, absolutely. And there's no guarantee that he won't be a Stoffel. Like Stoffel ripped apart GP2
Here
and
you
then
go,
came
okay.
to Formula One and it didn't quite work.
Conspiracy theory. Stoffel rips apart Formula E, wins everything there is to win, and then Mercedes turn around and go, "He's not bad, is he? Well, I think we should give him another go in Formula One."
Oh, one thing that'll make it worse for George Russell, Fernando decides, oh, actually, that Williams seat doesn't look all that bad. I might give it a go. Fernando turns up in Williams and Stoffels George.
Maybe. Well, all I know is that at the end of Flood's story, I think that happens on a nightly basis. But then slightly after he gets the Mercedes seat,
He wakes up.
wakes up and then goes, Mom, I've done a mess again.
Turns up on the grid in Adelaide in his pyjamas. Talking of Alonso, and we will go back to this one.
Yay, my favourite topic.
Yeah.
Why?
What a load of shite this weekend he came out
Oh, it's Fernando Alonso. What do you expect?
Yeah.
with.
Can people please pay me attention and print my name in some media somewhere?
There is a lot of this going around.
And buy my hats.
Yeah, is that's basically that's what he's doing. He's selling hats by talking shit. Talk shit, sell hats.
They are
Worked
quite
for
nice
Trump.
hats. They
Now
are
it's
quite
working
nice
for Alonso.
hats.
I mean, the latest that he's saying is the other LMP1 teams the cars are as good as Toyota, but they've got better racecraft or race planning.
The Toyotas aren't faster.
But haven't they like literally got the extra hybrid bit that the other cars don't have?
None of the other LMP1s are hybrids.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
So the hybrids are faster because we know this because hybrids are faster.
yeah. So they're missing however many horsepower that is.
Yeah.
It's basically a different class.
Approximately 4 laps worth over Fuji.
Yeah.
If it's to do with their racecraft, I question this on the point that Kazuki Nakajima is in
Just
the
won
team.
a race. What's his name? Who won the race?
The not Alonso car.
The not Alonso. Yeah, but it was like fucking Yukio Katayama or something like that's in it.
No, they actually did have something closer to a driver than him.
No, they don't. They really don't. It's what was the last Japanese driver that people spoke about?
Kobayashi?
Yes, is it Kobayashi?
Yeah, it's Kobayashi, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
So it's not. It's basically just the modern version of. I forgot them.
Caterham.
Their names are the same.
Ukyo Katayama,
Yeah.
Aguri Suzuki.
Yeah. Do you reckon we'll ever get a decent Japanese Formula One driver?
Takuma Sato?
Do you reckon we'll ever get a decent Japanese Formula One driver?
Kumasato did he get on the podium, or was he just very good at being third and
No.
then crashing?
No, I think he actually did get a podium, and won
Won the
Won
Indy
Indy.
500.
Yeah.
beat Alonso in Indy.
Yeah.
You're not sold on this.
When
are
he
you?
No.
was when he was Button's teammate, he was very good at not slowing down for corners when everybody else could. You know, on the
when he
PlayStation
was-
when you run a bit wide and you
Yeah.
just keep it pinned. Real life, you can't do that. No one told to Kumasato this.
But that year he was Button's teammate. Wasn't that the year that Button managed to come like second in the championship in that car, and he was like 20th?
I think they were teammates for a few years, weren't they?
Were they?
2004 through to about 2006, I want to say.
I can't remember. There was
Yeah.
only. There
The
was
last,
only
the last good Honda and then the crap ones.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. There was only one. There was only one driver in that team for me.
You just had a blind spot for the rest of the grid that year.
Oh yeah.
Um,
It was nice watching a bit of WEC this weekend. I luckily enough I was looking at the right time to see him wave at the camera on the way out of the pits. I feel that was for me.
yeah, I managed to completely miss the entirety of the race because I fancied a lion on Sunday just for a change.
Just as well because it's piss boring. Like WEC, I think is the most boring form of motorsport in the world.
worse than NASCAR.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, NASCAR, the cars are close to each other.
Yeah. But do you know what the best thing about WEC is? The absolute best thing about the information they give you. They choose not to give you which driver is in the car. So just given the fact that some teams have got like fucking 3 drivers.
Yeah,
And-
like Toyota.
And it just pops up with, that's a Toyota. I can fucking see it's a Toyota. It's literally written on the side of the car. What I'd like to know is who's piloting it.
That's a good point to make.
You've got to pay for the extra data feed. For that, I think, probably, yeah.
Pay for knowledge.
Yeah. Although there is a PDF that you can print off before every race, and it shows you which drivers are in which cars and what colour the cars are.
Yeah, but it doesn't help me at that point in the race.
And if you're watching WEC, it probably doesn't help you at about 4 in the morning.
No.
We'll move on.
Right.
W Series is the next thing I've got down here. The new F3 spec series, which is giving a free drive to women racers in their own series to get them ready to compete in other series.
I can't help think it feels gimmicky.
What I think would have been better would just be set up some kind of foundation or something similar that paid for training and race seats for capable
But
women
does that-
drivers.
You mean like Susie Wolf's Dare to Be Different
Yeah.
campaign?
Yeah, although with the Susie Wolf one, that's not just for drivers, that's for engineers and mechanics as well, and every aspect of motorsport.
Yeah, it is, but you know,
But this is being specifically set up
I
to
I
drivers.
can see both sides of the argument. Okay, the positive spin on this is it gets women involved in an
Yep.
FIA ratified motorsport,
Yep.
which they could then move on to other series from. It gives them a profile or a chance to raise their profile in a series where they are not going to be singled out because they are the only woman in that particular series, or you know, for whatever reason. But the overwhelming feeling for me is that it kind of saying, well, women can't race with men at lower level
Well,
sport, so let's give them a bit of a leg. It's a little bit, like Lee said, a little bit gimmicky, and
Well,
I don't agree with that.
I think the people to listen to here are the people like Pippa Mann or Danica Patrick, and who are pretty down on the idea of it, of the idea of saying that there needs to be some special series put together so they can compete. The other issue I've got with it is, and it's the issue I've had with this for a while, the with this sort of ever going push towards like total equality, which I think's kind of bullshit, because there is different things that people are better at. Do you know what I mean? There's things women are better at than men. There's things men are better at than women. So there can never be this like idealistic dream where everything is split straight down the middle, because we're just different animals. But the problem is, yes, Formula One is a male-dominated sport. But the question then you've got to ask yourself is, why is it a male-dominated sport? And that's because I think more men want to be racing drivers.
Yes, but what this could do is
Oh, it could open the door.
visibility.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this, and I think the whole series could be a massive success without any person from Formula W making it into
It to
F2
Formula One.
or F1.
Yeah. That's
By
fine.
just having more girls looking
Yeah.
at the drivers and saying, they're shit, I could do better than that. And I'm
Yeah.
not going into that
Right.
series. I'm going through F3, F2, F1.
Or-
That's brilliant,
Think
but sorry, just
Yeah, go on.
quickly. That's a brilliant idea, and you're probably quite right. The issue is, in the world we're in, where everything has to be immediate, you're literally looking at it's going to have to be a generation afterwards for it to show fruits. And I'm afraid that the people that are pushing for this won't be satisfied with it taking that long. They're not happy with it. They're not putting a foundation down, I don't think. I think they're putting something down and expecting the next female Michael Schumacher to just walk through the door. The other issue might be is how many cars are on the grid?
I think it's 20.
Right, I don't believe.
I don't think it's that many.
Are they not?
I don't think so.
But right now, and it's not that I'm saying that women can't drive racing cars, because obviously I don't think that, but I don't believe there are 20 like world-class female drivers ready to be in the only FIA certified women's championship.
Yeah.
It's gonna
They're either all against it or
Yeah.
the ones that are for it.
it's
There's not
going
going
to
to be
end up
enough
with
that are
a
top
couple
level.
of top level good drivers, and then a load of crashing at the back of the grid.
Which is going to look poor.
Yeah, which is
for
good. It's going to
women,
look
which
bad
is-
for women.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. What I was going to say then was let's spin what you just said. I agree with what you just
Mm-hmm.
said, but let's just spin it on its head. The let's just say we get I don't know, Michelle Schumacher. There
Yeah.
we go. Michelle Schumacher tears apart the women's series completely. Wins everything there is to win, qualifies on pole for every race, wins every race, and then that's then looked at as a series. Okay, well maybe there are some decent racing drivers coming through from that series. Michelle Schumacher moves into F2, which is generally the step up from F3, isn't it? Either into GP3, which is going to merge with. That's another story, but or F2. So she steps up into F2, and does well on F2 as well. Suddenly, the W series looks good.
Yeah.
Looks like a good investment, a good sort of thing to have in motorsport. But I can't help thinking that is purely fantasy, and what Lee just said is more likely to happen in that you're not going to get 20 people who were at the level of Maria De Villota, Carmen Jorda, Susie Wolf, who are able. There's not going to be 20 women who are able to compete at the same level as each other.
I argue that all those people you said there, I don't think they were at the level to be in Formula One.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is like if it's going to be a women's series and they're all going to compete in this Formula 3, was it, by all accounts, it looks like Carmen Jorda's quite excited about this women's series. I wonder why. Then you're going to find people. We're going to find women at Carmen Jorda's level who can race and have race cars before. But then you're going to get women who are not perhaps as experienced in racing cars coming in because there aren't the seats to fill.
Yeah.
And like you say, there's going to be an awful disparity between the front and the back of the field, and it's probably going to end up looking a bit poorer.
I think anyone that listens to the podcast knows I'm a little bit bored of the like Uber PC lefty type views that are sort of banded around quite a lot lately. And I can't help but think that in the
Most of those come from Russian bots anyway.
yeah, well, unfortunately they don't. Unfortunately, they come from real people with strange coloured hair. But I fucking forgot my point.
We're laughing because Dan was trying to check the colour of his hair.
I can't help but think that when there's a lot of people that come out with the views that say, oh, well, it's very difficult for women to get funding to get into Formula One. That's the real problem, is getting the backing. and I can't help but think that they're saying things that the mass of social media want to hear. You know, they're throwing out like social media crumbs. So go, oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because in the same way as when it was a big deal when McLaren signed Lewis Hamilton as the first black Formula One driver, and then not only that, he came out and was fucking really good as well. I can't help but think that any team on the grid, if there was a female Formula One driver that they thought was half decent, they would take her over a male driver merely for marketing
PR.
potential.
Yeah.
So this whole thing of like it being difficult for a female to break into Formula One, I don't believe it.
See, I think there are a couple of women who could race at the level of Formula One. Formula
Probably.
One. Pippa Mann.
Yeah.
Danica Patrick. Probably not so much
now. But she's flirted with Formula One for an awful long time.
Yeah, but I would like to have seen what Maria De Villota would have been capable of. Fortunately, she had her accident and then died the following year. Susie Wolff retired when she realised she wasn't going to get a Formula One seat, but she was on the cusp of getting a seat. She was being talked about as a proper contender for a Williams seat for 2 years.
Yeah, but I think
She was doing pre-season testing for Williams.
people are going to hate me for this, but the only reason she was there is because she was going out with Toto Wolff.
Married to.
Well, was she married to him at the time?
Yes.
All right. Well, same thing. But
I don't think that was the only reason she was there.
I think it was a massive reason.
I don't think she was
Going
to be on the grid.
I don't think she would have got the Formula One tests without Toto Wolff. When you look at
we'll ever know. But
no, but
I know
when
what
you
you're
look
saying.
at how when you look at how she got on within those tests, I don't think she'd have had another test. Then she might have got a test, but I think it would have very much ended at that test, especially running into the back of Felipe Massa. Was it Felipe Massa she ran
Felipe
into?
Nasser.
Felipe Nasser. But no, I'd love to see a female Formula One driver. But again, if this is the issue is the building blocks have to be put in, and then people need to be patient sometimes for things.
Yeah.
And patience isn't what you'd say is in ready supply in 2018.
Yeah, I can't see this formula helping in the next year.
No.
It's going to be, if it does help, it's going to be 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have a feeling it's going to look silly before it gets to that point.
I think it looks. Joe, the other thing that's going to be bad is how are they going to run this with the Formula One World Championship? Or is it going to follow the F1 circus like GP2 and GP3
No,
does?
it's got
it's-
6 races, isn't it? Or something like
It's 6 races that are going to be supporting DTM because European F3 isn't a thing anymore.
Because
So-
European F3 is merging with, just what I was going to allude to earlier, is merging with GP3 to become International Formula 3.
So these GP
Thunderbirds are
spec
go.
are these
These are current F3 spec cars.
right? So their current is it going to be the same next year? Are they going to be comparable to F3 next year?
They're going to be comparable to F3 this year.
So next year's F3 cars won't be. They
No,
won't be.
because they're going to be GP3 cars, which is going to be like a cut down GP2 car.
So what will be interesting then will be to look at the times from whatever like W Series race is on the same circuits as this year's F3.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to look
Or
at.
Formula Renault 3.5.
Yeah.
That's a similar spec.
It's similar, but at least you want the same, really, don't you?
Yeah, basically what Dan Ticktum and Mick Schumacher have been driving this year.
Yeah.
Is what was going to be the W Series cars next year. So they're just repurposing the chassis, basically.
Yeah. I'm talking to Mick Schumacher. He came from nowhere to win the European F3 title at the weekend
Yeah.
because he was out. He wasn't even in the running.
Did he do the
3 or
whole
4 months
season?
ago.
I
think
think. Was he late? Did he start late?
it might have done. I'm going to have to look this up now, aren't I?
He did last year. He did last year's
Was it last
Formula
year
3.
he started late?
No, he was last year's he was in Formula 3 last year, and he wasn't very good. If I remember rightly, he finished about 14th out of the 22 drivers.
Didn't somebody put a question as why how he suddenly turned himself around?
It was
Yeah,
Dan
Dan
Ticktum,
Ticktum,
who
who
was leading the championship until there were 3 races to go. Sorry, 3 rounds to go of 2 races. Then Mick Schumacher has won the championship with 1 round remaining.
Let's have a look. I mean, there was
He'd probably be in that extra Williams next year.
Oh, no, well, yeah, it could happen. Yeah, he came 12th in 2017. Stayed with the same team, Prema, who have got previous in F2 and GP3.
Yeah.
Very much so. Charles Leclerc.
Yes. And Pierre Gasly as well.
Was Gasly Prema as well?
Gasly was in a Prema as well.
Oh, okay.
Thing is, with Prema, they change the livery every year depending on
Who's sponsoring them.
Who owns their main driver.
Yeah. And Gasly smashed F2 before Leclerc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why that year's Prema looked like a Red Bull. But yeah, five wins on the trot in Germany and Austria, and then a third in the last race in Austria. That kind of helps, and then yeah, he's turning into his dad. So everyone says.
Well, he started off slowly and then got better. Much like Michael Schumacher started off slowly and then suddenly got better.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? 2 podiums before the summer break, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wins after it.
Are you suggesting that Mick Schumacher has traction control in his car?
Not at all. I'm not suggesting that anything untoward has happened whatsoever, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Neither was Dan Ticktum after Christian Horner released that statement.
No, but it's it's interesting, which is what they both said. Dan Ticktum / Christian Horner. They both said it's interesting, and it is interesting. I wouldn't mind betting summer break wise, somebody from a big boy team, Formula One team,
Like that Mercedes logo that he's got very prominently on his overalls.
or the fact that he wears red because, yeah. They may have come down to the Formula 3 team and been like, right, we know we need to make Mick he can't do 3 years in F3.
No.
Here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that happened. I'm just saying it seems incredibly likely to me that something like that may have happened.
If I was Vince McMahon, it's the way I'd book it.
Or he could have been on driver coaching or something like that.
Yeah. Or he could have been given an F2 car.
I mean, it looks like he's going to be in F2 next year because there's going to be 3 of the top seats available because the current top 3 in this year's F2 championship are all off. Because obviously Lando and George are going to Formula 1 and Alexander Albon is going to Formula E.
So F2 needs some seats filling.
So F2
and some stars coming into the sport.
F2 has some seats available and they are in leading teams like
Tell you what.
Carlin and ART.
You've got to think that with those 3 gone from F2 this year, we've said about how good the grid is. The grid's been in F2, but that's almost an open goal to the guy that can get himself together next year.
Markelov, if he's still in F2.
He needs to qualify now.
Sete Camera, yeah. It would be good to see Sete Camera make it to Formula 1 in one guise or another because he would fill that gap of having no Brazilians on the grid in Formula 1.
Yeah.
Which we've not had since, of course, Massa retired. And
The second time.
Yeah, it does seem a bit odd that there's no Brazilian driver to be supported at the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's just a little bit weird. Because
Is there even a South American driver at the moment?
No.
No. That is weird. There's always a... I kept having Massa in my head then.
Sergio Perez, Central American.
Yeah.
Mexican. He's not
Yeah.
South American.
No. America's pretty touchy about all that these days.
Does Mexico count as North America or Central America?
Central America.
It is Central
It's
America.
kind of in the middle.
Yeah, but it's also got a border with the USA.
Yeah.
North America is the US and Canada.
Okay.
But yeah, it never occurred to me no South American drivers at all.
So do Brazilians support the Mexican driver, or is that a no-no in Brazil? I don't know the...
I wouldn't know about that sort of thing.
No.
I wonder if that's the... you see, like, you get waves of drivers, don't you, on who's...
I mean, there was that year that there were 7 Brits on the grid.
Yeah, but
7?
Yeah.
it goes with world champions, though, doesn't it? You know, like, if you had a British world champion, you'll get, like, a few Brits filter through, or an...
remember there being...
German,
lots of
like
Germans.
with Schumacher, like a load of Germans
you
came
had
through. Do you think this is like the sort of that memory of Senna sort of fizzling away?
Maybe.
If they're losing there isn't as many around.
Possibly, yeah. But just talking about having 7 Brits on the grid, I can't remember that, but I can remember what you were just saying then about the wave of sort of Germans that came through after the Schumacher success era. A lot of young drivers that were coming through.
Yeah.
You had Marcus Winkelhock, Adrian Sutil, Nico Hulkenberg, Nick Heidfeld, Sebastian Vettel. There must have been at least another one.
Glock.
Timo Glock, yeah. So there were a lot of young German drivers around at the time.
Because when they were younger, they had an idol to look at.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, they went karting when Schumacher was winning his first couple of championships, and they were coming through the ranks when Schumacher was winning world championships. And then that followed another wave of young German drivers. That came
I wonder
through.
how much of it is the drivers having someone to look up to, and how much of it is sponsors looking for the next Schumacher.
I think
Yeah,
it's probably 50-50, to be fair. I think it's probably 50-50. Because, I mean, all you need to do is look at it on an Isle of Man point. When you look with Cavendish and Kenyuk,
The cyclists.
when you go out driving around on the Isle of Man, the amount of people which are fully kitted out with cycling gear on the Isle of Man is well above what the population should probably have.
Yeah, quite often it does look like Team Sky are training
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah, and they're not. It's just a lot of people in Team Sky gear from going back over the last 10 years. They're just out for a ride. And for some reason, why are they always on that stretch from Douglas to Peel?
It's quite nice.
And flat.
I
They
think
should be in the hilly areas training. That's how Cavendish did it.
Isle of Man in speak here, but I think when you come across a push bike on the old Castletown Road, you should just be able to drive through them.
That's possibly me on the way to work.
Anyone
They'll say Dan sometimes cycles to work.
anyone that decides to do that, it's not on. It's not on. Stop it.
There's some fun hills along there.
I'm sure there is. I'm going to do it now.
Fisher's
just to
Hill,
see.
long.
Just keep smacking people with my door, looking out, going, not Dan.
Damn it! Next time.
Moving swiftly on, faster than Lee and his van chasing after cyclists. The calendar has been confirmed for next year.
It starts with January.
But it
We're
does
going-
end
we're
in
going with the
December.
12-month system.
But yes, it does end in December for the first time in God knows how long. Ever, possibly?
Forever, I think. I think the last time, I don't think it ever has ended in December unless we're going back to the 50s. May have had a race in December. Don't think they did.
No, don't know.
I think in the 50s you're looking at Formula One seasons being 8-9 races long.
Yeah.
So,
But no, it's as the provisional calendar exactly was announced a few weeks ago. No triple headers this year, and an earlier start in Melbourne, 17th of March, and finishing in Abu Dhabi on the 1st of December.
but look at the short, truncated summer break. There is a race in August.
Yes, the Hungarian Grand Prix is going to be the first weekend in August.
The
So what-
4th of August.
So how long's the summer break now?
3 weeks.
It's 3 weeks, and the Belgian Grand Prix, for once, is not going to be on the bank holiday weekend. That is
No.
actually a week later. It's normally,
is it?
It's normally.
so it's 4 weeks. Sorry,
it's
it
normally
is 4
the,
weeks.
It's normally the Sunday before the last Monday in August, and this year it's on. Next year it's on Sunday, the 1st of September.
Ooh, that was something I picked up. Like, you've reminded me to talk about calendars. I meant to post this up on the little group. Did you see your man from Toro Rosso? What's his name?
James Key.
No.
French Toast?
Yes. Said that he would strongly oppose any motion towards making the season any shorter than 23 races.
20. I read 21.
I read 23, I think.
Well, Formula One want to make it 25.
Well,
Don't they, with,
he seemed in favour of more races.
And Autosport say 20.
with at least 2 key races in the US. That's what they want.
That's 2 more keys than McLaren's got.
But yeah, the Miami Grand Prix doesn't look like it's going to go ahead now.
Well, that's not appeared on the calendar for next year, so that seems to have been put
No,
back.
I mean, like in general, it
I'm
doesn't look
surprised
like
by
it's a
that.
thing. Like New Jersey was now not a thing, and we think that's probably because of the New York Formula E. That's now New Jersey is now not a thing.
It's because it takes so fucking long as well, a Formula One weekend, doesn't it? Formula E is pretty much done and dusted in the afternoon, isn't it?
I don't know. Battersea Park, they were setting up for like 4 months beforehand. And then-
Yeah, I think there's a difference between putting, like, setting things up, isn't there? You can still have traffic running when you're setting things up,
Yeah.
like for parts of it, but when you've all of a sudden you've got to have cars on the track.
Yeah, that does change
I'm
things.
surprised at Miami not being a thing. I really did think that it seemed like a no-brainer for Formula One. It seemed like a no-brainer for Miami.
Yeah, it just seems like all the discussion about the Miami Grand Prix has fallen off completely.
Just because of where it is, it would
It's
have
the
it would have
bit-
become like a marquee race again, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Because they have raced there before, haven't they? Miami hasn't there been a Formula One race there?
I don't know.
No, because I think
Fair
the US races have always been at either Watkins Glen, Detroit, Las Vegas,
Was there a Long Beach?
Indy.
Has there been a Long Beach?
Long Beach.
That's what I'm
Dallas.
thinking of.
You're thinking of Long Beach rather than you're thinking of Long Beach rather than Palm Beach.
I don't know.
Dallas was
Palm Beach is Miami.
Phoenix,
it?
Arizona,
Oh yes, of course. The
and the Dallas street circuit where Mansell famously passed out whilst pushing his car over the line.
but yeah, I don't think they've ever actually raced on anywhere in Florida.
Do you know I found out where the name Phoenix came from today?
Greek mythology?
Yes, but why they called Phoenix Phoenix? Because at the
Because
time
it bursts into flames every year because
Nope.
it's that hot.
it was called Pumpkin Town at one point.
It was called what?
Pumpkin Town.
That sounds like a rubbish name.
It was either Pumpkin Town or Pumpkinville. Everyone in Pumpkinville hated it being called Pumpkinville. Apparently, there's lots of old like
This sounds like a bad fairy story.
Native American
You're listening to Three Legs, Four Tails.
Native American ruins underneath the city, and what they came up with a few different like names. I think like they were going to call it like Buffalo Bill Cody something or at one point too. And whoever was the mayor of the town said, "Well, our city's been built on what was it? Oh fuck! What? Yeah, our city has been built on the ruins of so much ancient history that it should rise like a phoenix." And they called it Phoenix.
Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, Lee for facts.
Unfortunately,
That's not correct.
that's not the real story.
Not well. It was the historian I was listening to this afternoon. Maybe that's wrong.
No, Wikipedia is always
All
right.
right. I'm going with the historian that I was listening to this afternoon.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever called Pumpkinville, but
What?
I don't think it was ever called Pumpkinville.
No, it was something like that. Like I said, I can't remember the fucking thing. It was that was whatever the first name was. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Anyway, moving swiftly on. The other thing that got ratified,
The German Grand Prix is
Yeah.
on the calendar.
Yes.
That's worth pointing
yeah,
out.
that has now definitely been confirmed because of I think it's just a one-off agreement for Hockenheim in 2019. And even though it was meant to be Nürburgring's year, which meant there wasn't going to be one because Nürburgring still doesn't have the money to host an F1 weekend.
Yeah.
The other thing is, though, they have said that the rear wing lights are going to be coming in because they run tests with them.
Yeah, they did. Was it pre-season they ran tests?
Is this for rain lights
I don't know if it's for rain lights, is it?
or harvesting?
I'm not sure. I remember seeing the strips of LEDs running down the end plates of the rear wings, and I want to say it was
It's
A
just going to be for rain.
pre-season.
It's not going to be for harvesting. It's still going
Right.
to be the big red light on the back for harvesting.
That's why they're doing it. Is it because the red light used to be for the rain,
Yeah,
and now
Yeah.
it's for harvesting?
now it's just a general warning. There is a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so obviously when it's rains and visibility is poorer, you need to see a little bit more. So now
I think anything that means they can see the cars in front of them in the
Yeah.
rain better, which means they can race in the rain more.
Hopefully.
Fantastic.
I think so.
Fantastic
Yeah,
move forward.
especially if these lights cut through the big haze of the spray that's kicked up by the cars, because that was always a thing, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah.
You remember in especially 90s Formula One, you on board with Olivier Panis chasing Bertrand Gachot.
Yeah.
And you'd see the little red light blinking through the spray, and you could tell how close they were or not because of how big the red light was.
You can see a tiny red light. That means it's about 2 meters in front.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if it does mean actual racing in the rain, of course the rear wings are going to be changed next year because they're going to be even lower, and they've changed the position on the rear view mirrors as well, so that drivers can see over the wings.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're going to be higher next year, much like the
mirrors are-
Ferrari
like
wings
the-
were early this season.
Yeah. So next year's cars, we might actually get to see what they are, or see what the latest concepts on them are this week.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it?
I'm sure those will go up on the website if there's any mock-ups.
As soon as anyone releases a mock-up, we'll try and find a
Put
picture.
it on threelegs4wheels.com.
Well plugged.
Hey.
I'm getting the hang of this. It's
You
only
are.
been 4 years.
What? Plugging the website or talking?
Talking.
On a podcast in front of a microphone.
Oh, that's what we're doing here. Right, US Grand Prix this weekend.
It is.
Yes. Like I said, probably the best Herman Tilke designed circuit.
It is the best Herman Tilke design
something I
circuit,
like,
yeah.
Usually good for racing, and MotoGP hate the track surface.
Is this one of the resurfaced?
No, it isn't, and that's why MotoGP hate it.
I think they hate the runoffs as well, don't they? 'Cause
Yeah.
they're all tarmac.
Yeah, a lot of tarmac runoff,
Yeah.
which drivers tend to exploit a little bit, especially in that the penultimate corner. It's the second to last corner. Run a bit wide here and get really good traction for the last corner. It's like, wow.
And that's where Max Verstappen lost third place. Power or chassis? That's the question.
Chassis.
It's sort of Silverstone-y, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some
Bit of both.
Yeah, some bits are good for some cars, some
Well, if
for
that's
others.
a really long back straight, you've got a really long back straight, and you need a right good lump up you to throw yourself up that hill to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Like most things, you look. You've got to think advantage Mercedes now, but if it wasn't for the last couple of races, I would have said Ferrari should do well.
yeah. But from the end of that back straight, for those who know the layout of the circuit, all the way round to the beginning of the start-finish straight,
Twisty, twist, twist, twist.
twisty, twisty, twist, twist, and then again from the end of the start-finish straight all the way to the beginning of the back straight.
Twisty, twist, twist.
Exactly.
Twist.
2 straights, lots of twists. I expect Red Bull to do well
Yeah.
again in Austin. They do quite well on Austin usually anyway.
Yeah, but I think this year
However,
they've lost.
America is Hamilton country.
Yeah, definitely. But it seems
I didn't
that
think he still had Marlboro sponsorship. I thought that was all with Ferrari, but not.
I don't think the Renault engines necessarily took a step back this year, but it would feel like Ferrari and Mercedes have took more of a step forward. You know,
I think so, but I think with Circuit of the Americas, what you might get is the Red Bull's able to get close in the twisty bits and then get DRS on the straights.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, didn't
Might
think of that.
might not help them overtake, but might
Keep
might
them in the race.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially early doors, if they can get good track position
can get
early
in
doors.
there,
Yeah,
get
yeah. It
close.
depends how many engine penalties we get and things like that. But I expect the Red Bulls to be putting up a fight and maybe even possibly be putting a spanner in the works for a world championship win or a Ferrari
or
fight
aid
back.
it.
Or to aid it. That's what I mean.
If they can get in the way of the Ferraris,
That's what I mean. If they can sandwich themselves between Ferrari and Mercedes will love that. If they can get themselves up ahead of the Mercedes won't love that much.
I
so
think
much.
Lewis is going to walk away from this world champion.
Of this race.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he only needs to outscore Vettel by 8 points, which basically means...
It's a 1-2.
Yeah.
If Mercedes can get a 1-2, it's done, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or if Red Bull can get a car in second.
Yeah.
Or if Hamilton can somehow, I'm not going to go for every single permutation.
Yeah.
That would be boring.
Basically, I think what we are going to see is, from Ferrari, Kimi being sacrificed. Because they will have to have Vettel finishing ahead of him.
Do you mean
it's
his
too-
position or a literal sacrifice to the gods?
Which would be
Well, if they could-
unfortunate for Sauber because they have announced him for next year.
If they can get Charles Leclerc out of his contract with Sauber early, then it could be either.
Oh, I've got the idea now of them all being in a cave and Kimi strapped up, and then you've got Vettel in front of Vettel stood there with what's his name, the Ferrari boss,
Arriva Bene.
Arriva Bene, with his hand on his chest, going hum dum shabai, hum dum shabai, hum dum shabai.
No, this is 2018 Ferrari. It's going to be closer to something out of the Wicker Man.
Either that or
Probably the Nick Cage version as
eyes,
well.
eyes wide shut.
No, it's obvious that Ferrari are going to play the team orders card, and I think we'll see it again from Mercedes.
Do you think they can play the team orders card, unless it's like literally keeping Vettel in the championship? Like, Kimi would have to be second.
It's worth pointing out.
That's the only way you can be sacrificed.
Yeah.
If he's not second, if he's third, and Vettel's fourth, why swap them? You've still lost. You've just lost with slightly more points.
Yeah.
Because with Vettel in third place, he might have the chance to grab second if something happens to Bottas or the Red
Or
Bull.
put pressure on whoever is second.
I don't
into
think
making
Kimi
a
would do
mistake. It's worth pointing out as well. Think of it as circuit layout. Okay, it's uphill, but then you've got tight first turn, open second turn, S bends, bit of a straight, hairpin, bit of a straight, twisty bit. It's not that dissimilar to Suzuka,
No.
No.
is it? Really?
Not really.
Couple of longer straights than Suzuka. Really, that's just kind of what you're looking at layout
And the
wise.
straights are actually straight, not on a curve.
Yeah, and when you're looking at the when you look at how Red Bull performed in Suzuka, I think this could be a decent circuit for them as well. And Danny Ricciardo tends to quite like Suzuka as well. So,
I don't
sorry,
think-
not Suzuka. Austin,
the Americas,
yeah,
yeah.
Circuit of the Americas.
If we're looking at Suzuka, though, as the sort of guide of where they can be, I don't think that this is particularly bad news for Mercedes.
No, not
at
at all.
all.
Not at all. It's
Because-
bad news for Ferrari. Ferrari have got all the work to do, and they shouldn't have, but they do.
All the work to do, and then the last thing they need is a bloody
Verstappen.
getting in the way of them trying to keep a championship alive. I think what might cost Lewis winning the World Championship this weekend is, did you see Toto Wolff put out a thing? Was it since the last podcast, or did we talk about this last week, that Toto said in an interview that Bottas has took it mentally quite bad, having to play second fiddle to Lewis. So if he's going into this race, does he go into it thinking, I have to help Lewis win this championship so that we can race at the next race? You know, so I can get back to at least trying to get on level field with Lewis.
Bear in
Or-
mind, he's not won a race this year.
No.
But then
Or-
neither has Kimi.
Or does Bottas go into this race thinking, I can't win this race. The very best I can do is lead the race and have to have his head down, and then he has a bad race because of the position he's in, which keeps the championship going.
There could be, of course, a situation where Valtteri is the lead Mercedes and Lewis finds himself a few positions down for whatever reason, a gearbox penalty, engine penalty, anything. And it will be up to Valtteri to score as many points for Mercedes as possible. So I think he will be aware of that as a racing driver, and I don't think he would let it get to him too much. Having said that, psychology does play a big part.
And Toto's also said that he's keeping in mind what happened to McLaren in 2007.
Yeah. But Mercedes were really good at trying to spin a tale of them not winning when they're probably going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they do have to be saying to the drivers and the engineers and the whole team, do not get complacent. We look really good, but that's because we've worked our
absolutely.
asses off.
But I think this is a slightly different situation to the McLaren situation. McLaren had two drivers capable of winning the World Championship, which wanted to kill each other.
Yeah.
Mercedes have one driver capable of winning the World Championship, and what appears to be an extremely nice Finn.
Could be said for the other team as well.
What? Yeah, apart from they've just got a really nice Finn.
You're getting a copy of his book. What more do you want?
I know, yeah.
No, I think I'm going to stick my neck out, and I think Lewis will win the title on Sunday.
I'm unsure, but looking further down the grid, I don't think it's going to be all about Mercedes, Ferrari, maybe a little bit of Red Bull mixed in as well. I think there'll be other teams desperate to score huge amounts of points who know that they can in Austin and will be pushing hard. I think we're going to see an awful lot of different strategies played out. The tyre choices that have been published by Pirelli, a lot of teams have gone for a lot of different amounts of tyres. I think from memory, Red Bull have gone the most aggressive on their tyre strategy.
They have it almost every race.
Yeah.
Haven't they?
So, but I wouldn't be surprised to see teams like Force India going really long first stint. Yeah, all dependent on qualifying, of course, but going really long first stint, and putting on their fast tyres right near the end of the race, and mixing it up a little bit. Not necessarily saying they'll be on the podium, but I just think you'll see so many different strategies with so many teams. There's still a lot to play for.
Yeah, I mean, the battle for fourth is getting interesting because, I mean, Renault have got the 8-point lead at the moment, subject to the Grosjean appeal for what happened in Italy.
Which happens
with
when?
the floor.
Yeah, but when's that appeal?
That is going to
November
be
sometime, isn't it?
after Mexico.
Oh, good Lord, really?
Yeah. And Gunther Steiner came out with the quote this week that Renault are doing everything to get fourth place in the championship except for improve.
Which is true. Yeah, that is true.
As a subtle shade throwing goes, that was pretty good, I thought. Haas want that fourth place off them.
That would be huge for Haas, a fourth place.
After sixth place in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
You see, it would be huge for them, but they should have it.
Yeah.
They shouldn't not have it. I almost don't think it's
But
huge
for a new team that came in, as Paul was saying, this is their third season in Formula One. A fourth place is great. That's best of the rest.
Yeah, no, but they fucked it this year. They have a car capable of being fourth, and they haven't done it because of their drivers.
Yeah, I would agree
Except
with
that
that.
the team that should be fourth had all their points taken away from them.
Well, that's true, yeah. But
And I think they've got-
they shouldn't be
Yeah.
fighting Renault essentially.
But I think if they can get, shenanigans, say a Ferrari or a Red Bull or Ferrari and a Red Bull don't finish the race, or a Mercedes, or something like that. If some of the top 6 cars aren't in the top 6, I fully expect Force India to be right up there, stealing as many points as they possibly can.
Yeah.
It's a long haul, it's a long ask of them to take fourth place. But
I don't think they can.
But I think they'll do anything they can to try it.
Yeah, I think Force India are probably looking no better than sixth, and that's going to be to the detriment of McLaren because in the 4 races that we've got left, 8 potential point scoring opportunities. I can't see McLaren taking
Well, don't forget McLaren.
more than 1 or 2 points finishes at the very most.
Well, don't forget
And probably
McLaren
just
finished
more
well
than
in Austin.
1 or 2 points.
Yeah.
Alonso finished 5th in Austin a couple of years ago and 7th last year, was it? So Alonso's not terrible at doing okay with a poor car.
Yeah.
I wonder if Stoffel's results will improve now he knows what he's doing next year as well.
He might be jet lagged from flying out from Formula E testing.
Tell you what, that's a jump. When you talk about
or he might just go, fuck this, to put it in the barriers on lap 1. Safety car. Alonso wins.
Then that wouldn't be lap 1. That'd
No,
be
say-
lap 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
So, safety car on lap 2 because Alonso pitted at the end of lap 1.
Yeah.
is this where Alonso turns around and says, "Look, Stoffel, I'm not being funny, but you are going off to meet PK anyway."
Yeah, let's give him a little present. He won't be the only one to have done it.
When Fernando wins, everybody wins.
I mean, going back to Force India, technically they have earned the points to be in fourth, 10 points clear of Renault,
Yeah.
because they would be on 102 without losing 59 points for the team going under and coming back.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to keep this run up during the last 4 races. Yes,
Maybe.
yeah, and I really think they can outscore McLaren by 15 points.
Yeah.
But they'll probably do that.
They might do that in Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, having just said that, Alonso's really good round Austin. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Bit of
He wasn't all
shenanigans
that good wasn't all that fast round Suzuka, was
And,
he?
and
No, not at
he's
all.
pretty good around Suzuka. That car's fucked in it now. The they've obviously given up on that so soon. You know, they have to have.
Well, you heard Alonso 2 weeks ago saying we've been driving the same car since Spain.
Yeah.
I know we do this every Monday, or I do this every Monday, just looking at the weather for Austin over the next 10 days.
I'm going hot.
Yeah.
No, wrong.
Fuck.
Rain from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. No rain on Sunday, and then rain again on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
So we could be looking at a wet qualifying.
Or no race or qualifying at all.
Yeah, because don't forget, if there's any hint of a storm, Circuit of the Americas closes down.
The massive viewing tower is a bit of a lightning magnet.
It is, but just evacuate that tower, not the whole circuit.
Yeah, that could prove to be interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't say
A couple of
storm,
years
it just
ago, we
says
had-
rain.
We had the qualifying on Sunday morning, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, because of was it a hurricane or was it just a storm that went over?
Let's just say weather.
I've
Weather
always
that
enjoyed
happened.
Sunday qualifyings when they've had to happen. I think there's something that could be the fucking way forward if they were to have their Saturday sprint race.
Lewis Hamilton
Saturday
said, hasn't he?
What?
This week, Lewis Hamilton said it's the same 4 days wherever we go in the world, and I think people are a bit bored of it. Let's shake it up somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he wants the super weekend.
Yeah. It says at circuits where it's difficult to overtake, why not start the fastest cars at the back?
Yeah.
It's not a stupid suggestion.
It's not.
I don't think it's a stupid suggestion.
Let's just have a look. What is the format that he's
I think
proposing?
GP2 has the best format.
The reverse 10 sprint race reverse grid.
Yeah.
Reverse 10, isn't it? Reverse top
Reverse
10.
8.
Reverse 8, sorry, is it
Yeah.
now?
The only thing I'd change is I'd swap around how they do it. So you have the sprint race on the Saturday,
Yeah.
and the sprint race gives us a. Is that exciting? Because it's the feature race, isn't it, on the Saturday?
Yeah, the longer feature race with the mandatory pit stops is on the
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah, I do.
Oh no, I finished 8th in this race. Terrible. I'm on pole for the next one.
Yeah, I do the sprint race.
That's called doing a Markelov.
Yeah, I do the sprint race on the Saturday, and then that would give you your reverse grid on the Sunday.
Sprint race on the softest tyres.
Yeah, well, I mean the tires, yeah, whatever will last. It would just be one of those, you know. There'd be nothing mandatory for it, but
Yeah. But like, for
then
example,
have your eighth is pole backwards, just
Yeah.
like GP2.
how many laps are we having round Austin? Must be about 53, is it?
You're gonna make
47.
You're saying 47?
I'm just checking.
I've asked Paul to check something on the fly.
I should have all these notes here, but I don't.
That's because I just noticed what shirt you're wearing.
It's 56 laps.
50. Oh.
Although Lee, your number was in there because there has been 47 US Grand Prix.
Has there?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Brilliant.
Everyone wins.
When Fernando wins, everyone wins.
And the first one was in 1908, and it was won by a French driver in a Fiat.
There is Charles Leclerc as a Monegasque in an Alfa Romeo. Still unlikely.
Lewis Hamilton has won five of the 6 races that have been at Austin.
And if he wins there this weekend, he equals Ayrton Senna's record of being the only driver to win 5 consecutive Grand Prix at the same circuit. Which, of course, Senna did at Monaco.
I can see that happening. Shall we have some predictions?
Let's
do
do
it.
it.
Right, I have Sean's that she gave us earlier, and she is going Hamilton first, Vettel second, and Verstappen third.
That seems quite reasonable. Have we got heroes and villains as well from Sean?
No,
or-
she never does heroes and villains.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Hamilton first because he's generally been pretty good around Austin.
Yeah.
Bottas second, Vettel third.
So I was going to go for.
Yeah, that's why I got in early.
Yeah, I'm going Hamilton, Bottas, Vettel. I would
Yeah.
mix it up just to make it interesting, but I think Dan's right. So why would I do that?
Exactly.
I am going to go Hamilton, Vettel, Bottas.
Ooh, keeping it alive by a single point.
Yes. He'll win, but I don't think he'll be champion this week.
I'm going to say fly in the ointment. Slight fly in the ointment.
Sirotkin.
No. Hamilton to win, because I don't think you can really look much beyond that. It's going to take a mechanical failure or an engine penalty, I think, to stop him from winning.
Yeah.
Not impossible, of course.
No, completely not impossible. Some sort of accident, shenanigans
Or Vettel finding his form.
in a car, maybe. Daniel Ricciardo second.
Ooh,
Ooh.
some good luck for Danny Rick.
Finally, some good luck for Danny Ricciardo and Sebastian
It would
Vettel.
be nice.
Sebastian Vettel third. A spirited performance by Vettel, but just not enough.
Does he get driver of the day as consolation?
Ooh.
Here-
What do you mean they have to change his gearbox on the grid or something and he has to
Yeah.
start from the pit lane? That would be Ferrari all over, wouldn't it?
It would. It really would. Heroes and villains.
I'm going to say Sebastian Vettel is a hero just for trying, because I really think he's going to put his all into it like he did in Suzuka, but get it right this time, almost. It's not going to be his fault that he doesn't get what he wants.
I reckon. I don't know. I don't. There is going to be heroes and villains. But Lewis Hamilton will be the hero because he'll win the world championship.
I'm gonna say.
Formula One fans will be the villain because at some point, Bottas will have to hold station and people won't understand why.
I'm going to go for F1's graphics department as the villain, just in case they do that bloody eagle thing again.
That is absolutely a thing that's going to happen
Yeah, I hope it's not a thing that happens.
because they've been playing
Because that
fast and loose with all this. Through the whole season on and off, haven't they?
Like,
Push, Lewis.
push now, Seb. It's like, no one said that.
Or they could put a fake Seb on the track who wins the race. And then you realise that, no, that was just the graphics
CGI.
department playing around and Lewis has actually won.
That would be worse.
Tupac waves the flag.
Let's not joke. This could happen.
Well, not only have they brought Tupac back, but they're also now doing one with Ronnie James Dio.
Okay.
Just let dead musicians rest in peace and don't bring them back as holograms.
No, I think we should bring them all back as holograms.
Together.
Yeah, super band, hologram super band.
Yeah.
Actually, might Senna win this race? Because he did the hologram thing.
Oh,
Well, he did the
ace would
hologram
that
thing
be?
getting into a car and driving away, didn't he? Which was a bit
And
odd.
tripping over a wheel and checking his watch.
Yeah.
an
yeah.
AI driven, where you feed all the results in from various different championships to build a virtual representation of said drivers. Hologram championship. I'd watch that. I'd watch that before I'd watch the fucking esports.
Talking of
we gonna-
esports, did you see they actually changed the result in the official Formula One esports run on the Codemasters game race because the game gave a penalty to somebody for speeding in the pit lane when they shouldn't have had one?
Oh, it's buggy as fuck. This is why like people that do real esports don't use like the official Formula One game. This is why you have the likes of fucking R Factor and iRacing and stuff like that. It's because it's not suitable for it.
Yeah, it just amazed me that stewards are deciding virtual races as well as real ones.
See, I love computer games. I fucking despise esports. I hate it. I can't fucking hack it.
I don't understand how a computer game,
It's a sport.
which has the models of what's happening, can get the speed that the cars are going wrong.
because the Codemasters Formula One game has always been about making somebody feel like a Formula One driver and not about being an accurate representation of the sport.
Do you remember when?
In fairness, that's what Caterham did for the whole existence.
This is true.
Do you remember when Jolyon Palmer got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane? But it was because his readout on his steering wheel was wrong.
Oh yes.
He had a readout on his steering wheel which said he was under the limit, and Renault tried to argue, no, he was under the limit, and the FIA went, but no, look, he was doing this speed, and Renault had to turn around and be like, oh yeah, no, yeah, sorry, yeah, we made a mistake.
Just there tapping the dial. Ding, ding,
Yeah,
ding.
because Palmer was saying stuff like, according to this, I'm doing like 330 k's round a corner. It's like, no, clearly you're not.
Just a note for anyone that wants to join in with the predictions. If you go to threelegs4wheels.com and look in the games section, there is the 2018 Prediction League. Log in with your social media account and put your predictions in. Top 3. Also, pole and fastest lap.
Yeah.
And let's see if anybody can match Bjorn van der Hoff from the last race and do a clean sweep.
Yeah, clean sweep for Bjorn. I mean, imagine if Bjorn could do it again. I'd start asking questions of Bjorn.
Like, who do we put our money on?
Yes.
Yeah, tell you what, if he does it again this week, then as soon as we get his Mexico predictions in,
Yes.
yeah, we'll see how good that. You know what happens, of course, with predictions? They go to shit as soon as you put money on them.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Before we do Total Shunt,
Oh, yeah.
competition time. We have a new competition.
We have a prize to give away.
We have a prize to give away. We have a picture of Guy Martin and the Williams FW08C, the four-wheeled version that he restored and raced against Jenson Button in during the British Grand Prix weekend.
Which was the 1983 Williams.
It was.
As driven by Nico's dad.
Yes, that he won the Monaco Grand Prix in. This has been very kindly provided to us by Extreme Art and Gadgets, our friends there. I'll put a link up to their site because they do loads of signed memorabilia.
Yeah.
They've got some
Lots of sports.
Lots of
Mainly
sports.
boxing and
boxing,
football,
bikes,
soccer.
football. They've got a great Lewis Hamilton piece in at the moment. Unfortunately, it's £700.
What is it?
Lots of autographed pictures
Just lots of pictures of Lewis Hamilton.
throughout his career, even going back to GP2.
I say they should probably let us have that for auction.
Yeah, I tried that, and somebody's already bought it apparently. But this one of Guy Martin will be personally signed to the winner by Guy Martin himself. And to get this, all you have to do, same as last time, is the combined qualifying times of both Williams cars in the Mexico Grand Prix. We'll run this for 2 weeks.
Which is about the combined qualifying times of both Williams cars in the Mexico Grand Prix.
Fair point, well made. You have got until the start of FP1 in Mexico, which, if I've got my dates right, will be Friday the 26th.
Yes. Of October.
That's what my mug says.
Yeah, Friday the 26th of October.
Trust them.
I'm gonna say 12 o'clock UK time.
Midday.
So midday UK time, so it's just a little bit before the start of FP1. And to get those in, you need to send an email to competition@threelegs4wheels.com. I'll put the link up on the website as well, and that'll be on social media. And you got 2 weeks to get your predictions in. Good luck.
Proper good, that.
Good luck.
And just want to say again, thanks to the guys at Extreme Art and Gadgets for letting us have this prize.
Yep. Cheers, late.
Thank you.
There's James as well. There is 2 of them. It's just that
Is
you
there?
never,
I just thought it was
you never
James's
see.
shop.
Well, he's
Sorry,
in-
Lee's.
Yeah, Lee's always in the shop. James is an author these days.
Right. Oh, well.
Writes books and stuff. Right, should we total shunt it?
Let's do it.
All right, I better close this laptop then.
This one is by Baz Van. Is it Baz or Bass Vanderbeek? Vanderbeek? Verbeek. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, I haven't got my glasses on. Baz Verbeek.
Who sent a tweet in last night asking whatever happened to 3 legs fourth down. It wasn't funny. We stopped.
Yeah.
Or fun.
Yeah, mainly fun.
That's a strange name.
Not if you're Dutch.
Maybe. I was born
Yes.
in 1972.
46 this year.
Younger than me, so it's not Michael Schumacher.
I made my debut in car racing in 1989, winning the National Formula Ford Series. And I can make this bigger by zooming.
We're looking at someone around David Coulthard's age,
I think he's over 50, isn't he?
is he?
I always thought Coulthard was older than me.
Okay, so he was National Formula Ford at 17, which is old by today's standards.
And about average by the standards of the 90s.
Yeah.
I won German F3.
So chances are we're probably looking for somebody European.
So if there's a second line, it won't help you. I won the German F3 in 1992. Didn't think the year would help. Really.
Won German F3 at 20.
So he's probably going to come into Formula One if it is a Formula One driver.
Oh, yeah.
94, 95-ish.
Yeah, from the year in F3000 and as it was back then.
I'm going to say Heinz Harald Frentzen.
Oh,
I think that's a good call.
That's a good one.
Are you putting that down as your question 3 guess?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's worth it for the first one.
I came second to Oliver Penis in the 1993 F3000 series.
See, season in F3000.
Yep.
Even going to overlook the deliberate pronunciation there.
Yeah, we won't give him the attention.
No. If you want to hear Lee making other knob gags, just go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels and sign up for this week's podcast on there.
And if you need even more knob gags, come and listen to Must See Audio.
And if you need more than that, see a psychiatrist.
I was going to say start, continue.
To be fair, there isn't a lot of knob gags in Must See Audio.
Continue.
Start, continue. My video games podcast. I made my F1 debut in 1993.
With Sauber.
Yeah.
Who drove for Sauber in 1993? Was that Frentzen and Bouillon? No, it was Carl Wendlinger. There's another one it could be. Carl Wendlinger.
Oh, God, yeah.
Doesn't necessarily have to be a German.
Carl Wendlinger was Austrian, I believe.
I'd like a guess as well.
I think the first guess did we go with...
First guess
Hans-Harald
was Frentzen, so go with Wendlinger for this one.
Maybe we've got a couple of more clues before guess, haven't we? A second guess?
6, isn't it, usually?
Yeah.
I believe you had.
Yeah, we're on 6.
Doesn't feel that
Really?
way.
It's not my fault.
Is that 5? That's 5.
That was
surely.
5, surely.
No, that was your 6th. I've got the 7th highlighted here.
So what were 4, 5, and 6 again then?
Born 1972.
1.
Made my racing debut by winning the National Formula Ford Series.
Yeah.
In 89.
I won F3.
Yeah.
Which is 3.
I came second to Oliver Penis.
Yeah.
I made my F1 debut in 1993.
That's 5.
That's 5.
Oh, he hasn't got a 5th. Sorry, it just goes 4, 6. There we are. That's why I'm getting confused. Not my fault. It is.
So what's the next clue?
Well, you've now got 9 clues.
That's fine.
What is the next one? I drove for 2 Formula 1 teams.
So it's not Frentzen then.
No, because he did Sauber, Williams, Jordan,
Arrows.
Arrows, yeah. Did Arrows, didn't he, before?
He was with
disappeared?
Arrows when they went bust.
Yeah. Carl Wendlinger, Sauber, and I don't know. Did you do another one? I made my F1 debut in 1993.
When did Jos Verstappen come in?
1994, I think.
1 out.
It might be if not 93, because Benetton in 93 was still yellow and green camel sponsorship, and Brundle and Schumacher drove for them that year.
And also...
Sorry. Brundle and Schumacher and Patrese drove for Benetton that year.
And
93.
also Verstappen, I think, has driven for 3 teams.
Verstappen has driven for Benetton, Arrows, and Tyrrell. Was it Tyrrell?
Yeah, I think it was. Well, we haven't said Wendlinger as a guess, and I think...
I'm trying to remember 1993 Formula One drivers. It's around about the time I started watching. Well, I started watching before that, but by the time I was a geeky kid who just paid attention and knew everything.
Senna, Hill...
Gianni Morbidelli. He started around about 93.
This is a tough one because we've got that many options.
Yeah.
I'd like a guess as well.
Should we go Carl Wendlinger?
Carl Wendlinger.
I took part in the 2000 and 2001 DTM series for the Rosberg team. Didn't even know that was a thing.
No, neither did I.
Were they German or Finnish? Or Monegasque?
Pass.
Or a little bit Italian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No reason it couldn't be Wendlinger,
Yeah.
unless he didn't drive for the.
Unless all these questions aren't about him.
I crashed in the 1994 Imola Grand Prix.
JJ Leto.
If I remember rightly, so did just about everybody else. That was the year they had the tyres on the insides of the chicanes.
Yeah.
That's what took Damon Hill out.
Yeah.
Could be JJ Leto. I think he stood in for a race for Sauber
Wasn't
in
that
90.
96 that they took Kill out? Or 95? It was one of his championship years.
He only had one.
No, but when he was fighting for a championship.
Which he was in 94 as well.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was in it till the last race.
95 Schumacher was totally dominant.
Oh, you might be right then. Maybe it was that took him out.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
It's likely because they made all the really quick changes after Senna's accident.
Yeah.
I crashed in when? The 1994 Imola GP.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's at least 40% of the 1994 F1 grid.
Well, if it's at the beginning of the race, JJ Leto and Pedro Lamy had quite a huge incident, didn't they? Which brought out the safety car. I'm wondering if it's JJ Leto because he was driving for Benetton in '94, which I think he seat shared with Jos Verstappen, as shown by the photo behind Paul's head, and I have a feeling that Leto was driving for a Sauber towards the end of the 93 season.
I just remember him as being constantly in and out of Benetton because they could never settle on.
We have had JJ Leto before.
Yeah. I think you got bonus points if you're able to pronounce his first name, which nobody could.
No, it's Jarvik Vejen or something stupid like that. Yeah.
Is it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, his parents didn't christen him JJ. It would have been a lot easier if they did.
It was Keke Rosberg that told him that he should shorten his name to JJ Leto because his surname isn't even Leto, but he recommended he shorten his name to that. And with Keke Rosberg being his manager as well, lends itself to why he would be driving for Rosberg's DTM team.
That's some good theory.
That is well worked out.
Okay, now it was like Sherlock there, the amount of lines that were going around Flood's head.
And this is why it's Carl Wendlinger.
I competed in Le Mans 19 times
Bloody hell.
with a best finish of second and one class win.
I have no
But
idea.
my fuck am I a trier.
I seem to remember Leto did sports cars.
Yeah, I didn't pay much attention to anything outside of Formula One for around about the time JJ Leto would have been doing it.
Not many people in Formula One paid much attention to JJ Leto when he was in there.
Yeah.
It's more like, what have you done for me later?
Oh, God.
That's good. That's good. That's a good joke.
I'm going to edit that just to say that's a joke. Do we have a spaffer?
No, you got one more question.
Oh,
Go on
You
then.
got
Cool.
one. I was a pallbearer at Senna's funeral.
Bloody hell. Right.
Would that rule out Leto?
I don't know. It would have been in F1 at the time.
I like helping sometimes. You haven't said this guy's name yet.
Right.
Right. Okay. So that rules out JJ Leto
Yeah.
and Carl Wendlinger. Who else was on the grid round about that time then?
Wonder if I can find you as an extra clue.
You still had Prost and Lacey.
Too old.
Yeah.
Mika Hakkinen. But I don't think he would have done Le Mans that many times.
Especially with his sabbatical.
Yeah.
Although he does want to come back to racing in vintage cars or historic cars.
Yeah, apparently so, but only if he can win, which is kind of silly.
Barrichello would have started around then as well, but
Drove for more than two teams.
too many teams.
Mika Hakkinen only drove for one team. Two teams.
Two teams drove for Lotus as well.
Lotus, but not in '93. Mika Hakkinen was driving for Lotus in '92.
When did Pedro Diniz come in?
He drove for way more than two Formula One teams. He drove for Sauber. He drove for 40. He drove for.
I can make a final clue for you out of what's here, which I kind of missed out. I only scored 1 point.
A
in
sixth,
Formula One history.
a sixth place.
See, that lends itself maybe back to being Gianni Morbidelli again.
I'm sure he must have scored more than that.
It's a good name for a pallbearer.
John Death.
I'm trying to think of the people who were pallbearers at Senna's funeral, because it does show you that in the film. Pretty sure Gerhard Berger is one of them.
Again, too old. Too many teams.
And
Too many points.
Too many teams. Too many points. Actually won races, so it's not him. Alain Prost is one, but again, that doesn't work.
Luca Badoa had a history of being crap in Formula One.
Could have crashed in the Imola '94. Definitely crashed in Monza round about 94, 95. Barrel rolled at Ascari chicane. That was spectacular.
No, he said.
Didn't he race for too many teams, though?
Badoa raced for Minardi and Ferrari. That's it, I think.
Didn't you say the question was Italian Grand Prix, not San Marino?
Imola.
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 Oh, did you say Imola? Oh, sorry.
Right, yeah, one more. You can have a spaffer that I'm making up on the fly. The two Formula One teams that I drove for were Minardi and Lotus. Right, if you don't get it in a couple of minutes, we are wrapping this motherfucker up.
I would say Pedro Lamy then. But the only one I can think of. Pedro Lamy was involved in that accident with JJ Leto on the start of the Imola '94. I don't know where Pedro Lamy's from, but maybe he came up through German Formula 3. I have no idea. He only scored 1 point. Might be about right.
Pedro, that famous German name.
Yeah, Pedro Lamy. Yeah.
I mean,
Well, there would be
don't
lots of
forget.
South Americans in the European series.
Oh,
Because,
was it?
I mean, don't forget.
Sometimes I
Senna
say
came through
things just
British
because they're
F3.
funny.
Yeah.
And also, you might know the
Jean-Louis
answer.
Delatraz.
Barely counts as an F1 driver, and I think he was more started in the 80s.
Okay.
I think he was sort of there or thereabouts, on and off, for about 88. Pedro Lamy's a good shout.
Are you going with Pedro Lamy?
I'm happy to go with Pedro Lamy.
Yeah, we'll go
Got
with that.
Nothing better.
Yeah.
I'm Pedro Lamy.
Hey, nice work, Chris.
Good one, Chris. Well done. Bloody hell, that was that took some thinking.
So I did
Was.
say his name earlier on, but it was when I was mentioning that JJ Leto had an accident with him.
Blimey. Right,
He also said, keep up the good work. So thanks, mate.
Thank you very much.
cheers, Baz. I just found a guitar pick that I didn't know I had. How do you send total shunts in?
You can tweet
And
them.
we just want to point out Mark Wolfskill. This one is for you. The guy who was on Facebook yesterday saying, I'll resend my tweet. He hasn't done yet, has he?
Oh, no, he hasn't done yet, no.
So how does he and everybody else do it?
Tweet it to me in a private message at @italkshunt.
And if you want to get in touch with us for any other reason, tweet the show at 3 Legs 4 Wheels or individually at
Dan Dankleton.
At Flood21.
and at Pablo100. You can look us up on Facebook, facebook.com/3 Legs 4 Wheels. Everything that we post on the website gets posted on there as well automatically. And you can email us at 3legs4wheels@gmail.com. Which you can also do if you want to enter the latest Formula Lee, which is the US Grand Prix circuit in a Haas in the wet.
What were we talking about? Codemasters games before being a bit buggy?
Yeah,
Not this one.
not this,
No.
not this particular lap. It's bloody difficult, but it's good.
It's good fun in
Yeah.
the wet in a
What are
house.
his worries on time wise?
150. I don't know, 150 something, 152 something. I think.
That's around where I am.
I think I'm somewhere in the 152s. Leaders are in the low 150s.
I think I saw a lap yesterday at 149.
I think there's an Xbox in the Xbox which is in the 148s.
On your friends list or in the.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I've got a 149. I think on my PlayStation list.
One of the Xbox guys is fucking rapid, like
Yeah.
rapid.
So you've got until next Monday, what's it going to be, the 24th, Monday after the race, to get the times into us. You can send them on Twitter direct messages or Facebook private messages or by email. Or if you're on PS4, send me a friend request to Pabstar. And if you're on Xbox,
Send me a friend request to Lee Drummer 100, but also send me a little private message on Xbox as well, just to let me know that you've done it, so I can add you and then I can see you.
this sounds really complicated.
Yeah, no, but
there's
I mean,
probably a different way to set
do
it
it
up, but I
on-
can't
on-
bother fucking around with it.
Yeah, real name requests on PlayStation as well. So much easier.
Most people do that. Actually.
Yeah.
Just
also,
for once, people actually do listen to what
public
I've got to say.
service announcement, watch the messages you're getting on PlayStation 4s at the minute, because there's
The ones that say, "Hey."
No, there's a message that some players have been getting on PS4, which is just like a block of text, and it's bricking consoles.
This is why, and I think everybody else would be well advised to do that. If you've got a smartphone, put the PlayStation app on there, link your account, and then you can screen all your messages through.
Or just put it as private,
PlayStation app.
or just put private messages. You can put your account to private message.
No,
So-
I can't. That's why.
Yeah.
I've got to screen only messages. Right, we will be back next week with a review of Austin, a preview of Mexico, and
Back to backs.
back to backs, and anything else that happens in the meantime. Apparently, we might have a driver announcement or two to look forward to.
Williams still to announce their second seat.
Yeah, Toro Rosso still to announce theirs.
Force India to announce anything
anything.
officially.
Although apparently
Perez is pretty much signed up, isn't he?
apparently that is going to be done at Mexico. So wonder who that's going to be.
Yeah.
Worst kept secret in motor racing.
Ocon to stay.
You heard it here last.
That'd be a great way to troll a whole country, wouldn't it?
Well, it's not impossible, is it?
No, it's not impossible at
Perez
all.
out. Perez out. I'm joking.
And if there's no news that breaks first thing Tuesday morning, you've heard this entire show without any jump cuts.
Otherwise, hope you enjoyed the jump cut.
Otherwise, there'll have been a jump cut that me and Sean put together first thing on Tuesday. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.